On today's show, we finally get to the brothel dream that I've teased for 2 weeks on the show. It's a spiritual dream, honest. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Welcome, everybody. So glad you are here.
This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and you on your earth journey. That's why we focus on dreams. If you want to know what you're meant to be doing in your life right now, at this very moment, then look no further than your dreams. Why? Because your dreams are a message from your higher self to your soul saying, hey, here's where you're missing the mark. Here's something else you need to do. Here's a gift you have. All of that detail is in your dreams, including why you are avoiding what you avoid. So when we look at your dreams, we know what your mission is and we know what is wrong about what you're doing right now. You know, it would be nice if dreams sometimes said, hey, here's all the things you're doing right, but they just don't do that. To get your dream analyzed on our show, go to dream-analysis.com/podcast, fill in the form that's there, or just simply submit your dream to radioshow@dream-analysis.com. And a surprise for everybody who does that, they get a reply from the lovely Nicole. And she's on our show most weeks. Take it from here, Sandy. What do we want to talk about?
Well, before we dive in any deeper, we're only 2 weeks away from our big summit. And I am so excited about it. We just finished our third workshop on Thursday, and it was fabulous. So all three of them were great. And the sad news is, if you haven't signed up yet, you missed them. But the great news is you still have a lot more amazing content that you'll get to listen to if you join us Friday, May 16th through Sunday, May 18th. It's going to be a fabulous event. And I know, because this is my favorite event, because it's kind of woo. Took me years to convince Michael to do the woo. And now we've got it ready, and it's going to be so exciting. And it's going to be, there's changes from last year to make it interesting, because we definitely want to keep you all interested. Anyways, Michael, how do you sign up for that?
You go to dream-analysis.com /free, and that'll bring you to the form that tells you how to sign up. And the agenda and everything is on there. And it's about 20 hours, 20 plus hours. So there's a lot of content. Like, don't worry if you missed the bonuses. I love how we're able to get on here and say, they were terrific. We did them and we were awesome. But the feedback tells us that people were very, very impressed. And the event is just going to be like that. So really these were for setting you up to how good the event's going to be. It's not like events I've been to myself where I'm like, I hope this is really good. And really all it is a very slow, long tease to something else that's behind the paywall. We don't do that at our event. We teach you a lot of things throughout the weekend. As Sandy said, we look forward to it because it's only the second time we've done this particular summit.
Anyways, I am so excited that we're going to cover this dream finally today. So are you ready to dive in, Michael?
Yes. Well, we've promised this dream for 2 weeks, so we have to cover it. And it's the title that's intriguing, Sandy. What is the title?
Visiting an outdoor brothel across from the church. And it's from Sherry, who's in the middle of cutting the ties with Dad. So it ought to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, just from the title, we know the dream has a spiritual component because of the church. But what on earth is the brothel? We're going to have to listen to the dream to find out.
Yes, we are. So let's begin. I am in a car with my partner, and we are looking for a hotel. We are visiting this place, and I did not arrange a place to stay before we arrived.
This is interesting. Hotels are about reception at birth, and the dreamer didn't book a place to stay before coming here. That's not good. That means she didn't feel welcome. But another thing I know about this dreamer is that she is a replacement for the spirit that was originally going to be born to her parents. What? Well, that's a bit woo. Actually, it couldn't get more woo. And this is what our weekend's going to be like. There is a planning process we go through as part of coming here. Everything is selected based on your needs, and it is tracked. You wouldn't believe how much it's tracked. But once you're in, you're in. And the original spirit opted out. Why? Well, we were told because the father changed so much from what she needed that she would not get the experiences required for her growth here on earth at this time. So she opted out, And a very late opportunity was offered to Sherry. The conditions were good for her and she took it. We probably wouldn't have caught that from this bit of the dream, but we can see it once we know about it. She arrived without a booking. Totally true. Sandy.
Wow, that is just crazy. Okay, we're going to continue on. We have come to a T intersection at a river and we prepare to turn right. There is a big church across the road by the river, and there is a long walkway that ran parallel to the roadway but out in the river. It extended from the church parking area, which was a small marina with both open and covered slips parking areas for boats. There was only a small area for cars to park besides the church.
Sandy, what do you think of the fact that she says a parking area for boats? Do you think she's ever been on a boat?
No, it would not be called a parking area for boats. We don't usually use those words for boats. It's usually cars. I like the idea of maybe a berth or a dock.
All right. So we know this is about a berth because this is where the boats are parked. I think I'm on her page, to be honest. Anyway, a T intersection is a hard choice. So we start with what we just covered. With regard to the subject matter of this dream, so it's a hard choice, a change in the direction of her life. She can't continue on as she has been going. Because the road's ended, you have to go left or right. That's what a T-junction is. The church still makes this a spiritual dream. The dreamer came here to work in the spiritual field, and we see that confirmed. The walkway, the path she is to take in life, is out in the river. Rivers are also about our spiritual path. Don't you love it? You should. Dreams are amazing. Sandy, questions?
So we have a church parking area. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Well, car parks are about a choice of roles or attitudes, and we expect it because of the T-junction. So we know she has to change direction. So then it's like there's choices ahead for me. And T-junction is just another symbol for a choice that needs to be made. And it's a church parking area, so we know it's connected to her work in the spiritual field.
Wow, interesting. And then it's only a small area for cars. What is that?
Well, the small reference brings us back to childhood, just like the hotel does. But it means that right now, the dreamer only sees limited choices in the field. There's not a lot of options to park the car.
Ooh, very interesting. Okay, so let's continue on and see what else she has. There were numerous religious carvings at various points along this walkway. One was of the Virgin Mary in her blue and white robes standing in an arch-shaped doorway. I could not see the other carvings very well, but they seemed familiar, like I had seen them all before when I traveled.
All right. We expect to see her gift because it's a dream with birth, two symbols for birth, the dock and the hotel. And then we see that it's going to be the spiritual side, because of the church. So we know it's going to be something spiritual. And here it is. Mary tells us the dreamer is a spiritual leader. And her familiarity with the carvings tells us that she has come here in this capacity before. A doorway is an opportunity. And so this is what she is to go for because the statue is standing in an arch-shaped doorway. So we know she's choices. We see two symbols for choices, the car park and the T-junction. And then it's like, this is what you have to choose. I always find that funny. Like, is it really a choice when you're told, hey, Michael, you can have anything you want as long as you pick this?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Anyways, what's up with the blue and white robes?
Well, this is a really good color combination. It attempts to heal a negative philosophy with regard to her spiritual leadership gift. So right now, you can take it that she is putting herself down and does not think she has this gift.
Very good. Interesting how the dream's pointing that one out. All right, here's more. There were a few people out on the walkway looking at the statues, and there was a group of kids getting off a school bus in the marina area preparing to visit them. I knew their leader was trying to get all the lunch boxes organized. The kids were buzzing with excitement. Woohoo!
All right. More symbols for spiritual leadership. First, we have a group. That's one. Then we have a school bus. That's two. And then we have a leader. That's three. This is one of the great things about the Ashling method. It proves itself to you clearly and it removes any doubts. If you look up my dream dictionary, which you can download for free at dream-analysis.com, I think it's on every page. You can just download it for free and you can look these up. And when you do, you'll find that these three symbols and the Virgin Mary symbol from earlier, so four symbols, all independently say you are a spiritual leader. So you can take that to the bank. Spiritual leadership is her path.
So now let's see what she has to say. My partner and I are out of the car now, walking along the roadway just past the church.
Excellent. She is now walking her path, at least in the dream.
We come to a set of stairs that goes up onto a raised sidewalk.
All right, this is classic Ashling method, the raised sidewalk. You couldn't make it up. Movement up is either activating your intellect or your spiritual side. That's what you'll find in my dictionary. But from the context, we have no doubt it is the dreamer moving up to her higher path. She is now on a raised sidewalk.
Ooh, that's exciting. Okay, so now we're going to have some fun. There are lots of women dressed in fancy red, black, and orange, flapper style, but kind of scantily clothed. They were standing by a black wrought iron fence along the roadway, making eyes and flirting with cars and specifically men going by. I realized we were in an outdoor brothel.
Finally, we get to the brothel. Wow, I never thought that would be a sentence I'd say to my wife. But I know Sandy was waiting for us to get to the brothel too. Let me just check with the producer. Eric, are we still on the air? Okay, we are, Sandy. Go.
All right, good.
Let's say a little bit more. Orange is about drive and ambition. Red is about passion. And black is about the dreamer's fears. The women are trying to get the men's attention. And we know the dreamer is currently in one of our programs, healing issues with her masculine side. So this is good. She's working to get in touch with her masculine side. And here we see women trying to get the men. Yay. So it's actually a good symbol in the dream. But because of how it is depicted, we can tell that the dreamer still doesn't see this as a good thing. Why? Because clearly what is happening in the dream is something she would never do. Sandy, what's the last bit of the dream?
All right. I take note of one girl who looked out of place. She didn't seem like she fit in. She wasn't dressed or done up really fancy like the rest of them. She looked plain and was more shy. It seemed like she was hiding behind the fence and was not trying to get the attention like the rest of them.
So
There you go, Michael.
this is how the dreamer is. I'd rather be in the background. I don't want attention. I feel out of place. I am shy. I'd rather hide. All the things that we get from the dream. Now, if this is true, this is already happening in her life. I talked to her about being the center of attention, and she thought she was okay with it. She pointed out to me that she does competition-style events. And that sounds good, doesn't it? But her guide said that when doing that, she's not the center of attention. She's in her own world, only focused on herself. So when I put that to her, she's like, oh yeah, that's absolutely true. I tune everybody else out. So I pushed her again. And she went from, I am the center of attention to, wait for it, in her words. She says, I very seldom get any love on my birthday. It's like, here's your card or here's your flowers, but it's not a big deal. Sandy, is that a big deal?
That's a huge deal. Birthdays are magnificent. And she's not even being celebrated. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe that. That's horrible.
All right, calm down. But now we see why Bert was in the dream. So her husband needs a kick in the ass, and he only gets away with it because Dad set such a low bar with regard to men. You definitely couldn't limbo under the bar, he said. But the issue is hers to fix, not his. That's why she is here. All right, Sandy. Did this dream live up to how much we hyped it over the last 2 weeks? I mean, it continued on, but I cut it there.
I thought it was great. I love the scantily clad women flirting with the men. That's so funny.
Yeah, I could never say that sentence, you know. We've a good relationship, but I guarantee you she's the only one that get away with saying that.
All righty, Michael. Let's move on to another dream from Sherry, because this one's interesting as well. And the title is, Why Is There No Music? Ooh. I was on the ice teaching skating, and there was no music playing. Everyone was practicing their moves. I was conscious of there being no music, and this bothered me a little bit. How can we skate without music? But I did not let it interfere with my lessons. I asked someone when we got off the ice what happened. because I knew a certain person had a speaker and an iPad, and it was their job to bring it. I was thinking they should have made arrangements and gave it to someone else to bring if they weren't going to be there.
All right.
Okay.
I love how you say that in such a nice, I knew somebody else should have, But what this is really about is it really bothers her when she's not supported. She seeds on the inside when somebody lets her down, but she doesn't let anybody know. Notice she doesn't say anything about it in the dream, at least when it's happened. She says it afterwards. But someone else in her day will get their head taken off. That's how it works. I am bothered and I remain bothered by a lack of support, but I think I'm pushing it down, but I'm not. It is festering. If this person does it again, it will be even worse. And then finally, when they do it again, I will explode. I will really explode. And they will wonder what juggernaut hit them.
Oops. That's kind of a little flaw there.
Well, it's pointing out masculine energy. And so here the thing is, it bothers me when I'm not supported. And then we have another dream that shows the same thing from another angle. And it was a long dream, but I cut it down like to probably a sixth of what it was. All of these relate to the same person, which is a theme we've kind of done for a few shows now. I think since we hired Nicole, it's given us a freedom because if you send a dream in, Nicole is going to respond. And that gives us more freedom to be selective about what we pick and stick with the same person to show this is it. This is how we nail all the pieces of this into the table.
Okay, Michael, so we've got no music playing. What's up with the no music? Is she not hearing
No,
the spiritual world or something like that?
So she's a skater, and this is part of her everyday life. So this is a problem in an everyday experience that she would have. So it wouldn't have its normal meaning. And so we now she is a channel and quite good. So we can read other elements of it too. There's always many layers in a dream. There's up to 16 different layers. And we look at the dreams and we want to pick the layer that's most important. And the guides know which one it is. So when you channel or talk to your higher self, they're going to say, here's the important thing in this dream. And this is why it's important. And if there's more than one lesson, if there's more than one layer that needs to be tied together, or and you can have a few, they will very neatly tie them together. But you can always look at another layer of the dream and just say, hey, let's look at this dream and just talk about channeling. And you get a really good analysis about where she is with channeling in that too. So it's a good question. But here I'm focusing on one particular side of it, I suppose.
Got it. Okay. Very interesting. And then the speaker, the iPad, and third job, where they didn't do their job.
So it's all to do with confidence. Masculine energy has to do with security and confidence. Do I feel safe in the world? Now, I mean, there are many other traits in the masculine energy side. And don't think of men or women. We all have masculine and feminine energy. Men skew more masculine in terms of the traits that they have. So men can come across as more confident. They can be more confident. Women have more feminine energy, so they can be more forgiving and tolerant and accepting. And we know it. Whereas I'm like, okay, who wants the first punch? Okay, not me, of course. It's my friend. Yeah. Anyway,
I love it.
So we know that confidence is one of the things that's being addressed. And we saw it in the other dream. So we saw the lady who's shy is hiding behind the wrought ironwork. That's a masculine energy symbol, and it's black in the dream. So she hides, because of fear, she's hiding behind a masculine persona. So she's in her head. She thinks all the time. And so here, there's a guy who should have brought the music and it's not playing. So we could relate this to when I'm channeling, I don't have the ability to hold the space or take the space and project what I'm getting out to everybody else.
Wow, that's very good. Alrighty, are we going to move on to the next dream? That's one I like the title of too.
Sure.
And it's titled Meeting Work Colleagues in the Casino. I was at the casino in the small town where I used to work. I was out on the floor where the machines and tables were. I had my wallet in my left hand, and I was very aware that I was on camera and being watched wherever I went. I was walking through looking for a washroom and found a large set of shelves kind of at the back and over to one side. They were full of stuff. hmm I knew I had to go up, so I started to climb and found them to be more like scaffolding. I was calculating each move as I figured out how to climb up and maneuver across the shelves. Ooh, we're climbing shelves, Michael.
Yeah. So we're moving up into our head. Uh,
Oh no.
yeah, exactly. So, and we see that. We know it's that in this stream because she says, I was calculating each move. And that's what people who live in their heads do. They calculate or rationalize their way through life. We can always tell, from a dream, uh, is the movement up spiritual or is it about becoming intellectual? And there's enough in this to tell us. What's interesting though, and the reason I included it is this is all the start of the dream, and we're ignoring plenty of the dream because I just want to focus mainly on one thing. She has her wallet in her hand and she keeps it visible because she doesn't want to draw attention to herself. Or does she? Because getting attention, if you have issues with dad, getting attention is your big issue. And you do things to get attention, but you don't scream, hey, everybody, look at me. You do an amazing job, or you clean up at a party, or you do whatever it happens to be. And you hope you're going to get the attention, but you never actually say it to anybody because you don't have the confidence to say, hey, give me the attention. But I said, she doesn't want to draw attention to herself, or does she? Well, she does. She wants them to notice that she is doing the right thing. This is a conundrum trauma creates in our lives. You can't both get noticed and not noticed at the same time. So the universe picks one for you, and it picks the lowest vibration. So she will not get noticed, and she will spend so much of her life fighting against the fact that she isn't getting noticed or recognition or whatever it is.
So what's up with the scaffolding? Is that just about climbing into your head?
Yeah, I mean, it has other connections to it because she's calling it a scaffold. So, that's not a good thing. People are hanged from a scaffold.
Yeah. So what about the casino though? What's up with the casino?
But that's okay because where she worked, there was a casino and she knew lots of people that worked at the casino. So we don't want to interpret it. We just know it's bringing her back to a time in her life. But if there was a casino in your dream and it wasn't a personal thing, it's going to be about how do you feel about life giving you what you want? Is it just random chance that you get things in life or not? And most people think it's random chance, but it's not. We put the order in so solidly. We say with our actions and with our beliefs, give me this misery. And then we wonder why we have that misery. But our dreams show us what it is. Our dreams say, this is why you're doing it. We know why you're doing it. So fix these issues. And then you will no longer be contradicting yourself. You won't be saying, give me attention and please don't look at me at the same time. And when you stop saying, please don't look at me, you're going to get all the attention you need. And she needs that for the work that she's going to do in the spiritual field. Now, she's a spiritual leader, which works through feminine energy, but you still need to create the space for you and the platform for you to get on to be able to achieve what you came here to achieve. And that part requires masculine energy.
Very good. Anyways, so Michael has cut a lot out of this dream. But as we continue on, she meets a friend in a uniform. She goes to an office and meets a member of a SWAT team. And then we get to this bit, which is the interesting part. It was time to leave. I had my wallet in my left hand again now, and as I was walking out the main doors, I asked one of the security officers what time they close. I wanted to put my wallet in my pocket, but I was again aware that security would be watching me carefully from their office through the cameras, so I didn't make any sudden moves. There you go, Michael. No sudden moves.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. But I said masculine energy is about feeling safe. And so we see security and her awareness of security all throughout the dream. She's been watched by security, and then she leaves the building, which is again another symbol for birth. And the very first interaction is with somebody who is security. And the dream continued on, and there's a kerfuffle is the word she used.
I like that
Two
word.
different ones. The security arrests two people at the entrance, and then she pins down two men at a van. And so anyway, this dream here is, again, this part of the dream, I mean, is saying, I want to be noticed, but only for doing the right thing. And that's where we see the conundrum. She's saying, I don't want to do anything that gets their attention, But at the same time, I don't want to get their attention by doing exactly what I should be doing and them noticing that I'm doing what I should be doing. So therefore, I don't get their attention. It's
Oh
such
my
a
goodness.
contradiction. It's great.
That is crazy. Anyways, what's the SWAT team?
So we have the friend, and she said the friend is very like her. It's a woman, and she's wearing a uniform, and she takes her from like where those shelves are up into an office. And an office is about being in your head again, like intellectual work. You use your mind in an office compared to like working in the fields or whatever. And the woman is in a uniform, so she follows her. So it's like she has this idea that she's not meant to bring her feelings into situations. Now, this is a classic for people who live in their head. If somebody asks them how they feel about things, they're not going to share. They're going to tell you they're okay because they don't want to burden you with anything. They actually think that they're doing you a favor.
That's very, very interesting. And then, so that's the end of the dream. From the sounds of this dream, though, it looks like she's come pretty far with the process she's using.
Well, there are improvements. First of all, we have women showing up in the dreams. So when you start a therapy and you're working on issues around dad, you expect a lot of men to show up in your dreams. In fact, it'll be all men. Some in the beginning, it'll all be negative men. Then some positive men will show up. And then it'll be only positive men. And then it'll be no men. It'll be women. Now, it doesn't have to follow that exactly, but that will be the gist. So you might have dreams that are interspaced with the dreams about the masculine energy issue that are about feminine energy. But ultimately, you'll get mixes like this that have some feminine energy issues. And so what happens is we're working on saying, I've got a masculine energy problem, and this is the highest priority issue. And I have feminine energy issues because the two energies are independent. It's not about balancing masculine and feminine against each other. You balance the masculine and you balance the feminine. And so when I deal with this and I move it down the order of priority, when I eventually get it below the feminine, things to do with the feminine issues are going to start showing up in my dreams. And so we like that. So we can tell from this dream that things are progressing and progressing well. So there's probably only a few weeks left because women are showing up in this way.
Excellent. That's cool. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a good week. And remember, our May Summit is coming up. It is Friday, May 16th through Sunday, May 18th. You got to get out there and get registered. It will be a mind-blowing weekend. You will learn so much. It's just so fabulous. So please come join us. Anyways, that's all I have to say, Michael. What else?
That's it. dream-analysis.com/free. That will get you into our event. Take care. If you enjoy endless puzzling over what you're meant to do in life, jumping from course to course, piling up the books and certificates, but still feeling unfulfilled, the Ashling Dream Interpretation Summit is not for you. It will strip away your confusion, leaving you with clarity. Clarity. Who wants that? Is success really earned when you get there quickly? What are you going to do with all the free time? Spend hours and hours with loved ones? God forbid. Get sunburned on vacation? Avoid these outcomes. Don't sign up for our summit. Maybe you sometimes think there is nothing to all this spiritual stuff. That will be robbed too. The Ashling Summit shows the clear answers given in your dreams, the proof that the spirit world is real and talking to you. Yes, you. Gone will be the roller coaster of questioning your sanity. Our summit swaps that for excitement at finally knowing the truth. Excitement raises your heart rate and fills you with energy. Then you have to do something to burn up that energy. You probably even want to share your excitement with your friends, thus impacting their lives. Can you live with that consequence? You won't be able to shout at God either. No. Isn't it just great to vent and shake your fist at the sky and righteously blame God for ignoring you? You know He is. He knows He is. And that's the type of relationship you've become accustomed to. Well, the Ashling Summit wrecks that relationship. When you know how God speaks to you directly, you lose the ability to be frustrated with Him. Who wants that? If you love your life exactly the way it is, if you love blaming the universe or God or whoever for your misfortune, if you dread the idea of being empowered and responsible for your own life, don't click the button below. It's just not worth it. The Ashling School 3-day Dream Interpretation Summit runs from May 16th to 18th. You can register below, but I wouldn't. Warn others. What if a close friend accidentally registers? Could you live with the guilt of knowing you could have saved them from these same outcomes? Tell your friends so they know to avoid it too.